Okay. So what we are going to discuss today is some concepts of Yes. Yes, let me check. Oh, jar request test. Okay. I think she has joined. Yeah. So basically what we are going to discuss is a particular thing as classification. Okay. And we will look at how we can understand that the classification is done or classification is happening correctly or not. So this is often called as evaluation. Okay. And then finally, we will look at a particular type of classification algorithm called as KNN. Okay. So this is what we plan to cover. Okay. So, you know, in a classification, you have things like this. Okay. So the idea is that, let's say, so what is happening is it is not for a human being, right? A machine is trying to identify whether a particular object is a duck or not a duck. Okay. So this is a type of classification problem because you are trying to classify whether an object is a duck or a not duck. Okay. So this is why it is called as classification algorithm. Also, this has two steps. In the first step, what you need to do is you need to give it lot of data with its corresponding labels. So this thing, if you see that this is a dark, this is a dark, this is not dark, this is not dark, right? So this actually is these actually are called as labels. Mane, the class, so you have two classes and they are also called as labels. And then what you do is you actually you actually take it to something called as a supervised learning. So don't worry about what is supervised learning right now. Okay, don't worry about this. But then what comes out is a computer program which is also called as a predictive model. Okay. Now when this predictive model is ready, if you give it an object which doesn't have a label, doesn't have a class, it can look at it and tell that this is a duck. Okay. So basically you are wanting to, you are wanting to develop a computer program which, given an image of a duck or some other animal, right? It can classify that this is not a duck. Just 1 minute. ক্লাস নিচ্ছি গো হ্যাঁ ক্লাস নিচ্ছি গো আমি তোমাকে কল ব্যাক করি Yes. So basically, here you are developing a computer program which, looking at an image of a duck or a not duck, it can tell whether, which class it belongs to. So this is called as binary classification problem. Binary means there are two values, duck and not duck, and it is not necessary that you will always have a binary classification problem, right? So you can look at ternary classification, you can look at many such problems. So let's say, you have handwritten digits, right? So you have written like this, and you know that this is an 8. So in this case, you want to map it between 0 to 9. So how many classes are there? There are 10 classes. Okay. So how many possible values are there that actually constitutes the classes? And now, you have this computer program written. So if this is called as unlabeled data. So this is what is actually, what is your motivation, that if you give it an unlabeled data, then it can tell that what class it belongs to. So this is also called as prediction. This is also called as, forecasting, something of that sort. Okay. So this is what is actually the main thing about your data mining type of problems. And so this is an example where, it tells you that how the underlying data looks like. Okay. So, you will have a tabular data like this, as you can see, right? So each row actually corresponds to one observation. So this we were discussing in the last class, right? And basically there are how many classes are there? So this is actually your class. So you want to actually looking at different attributes of the weather, you actually want to classify whether it is a good weather for playing golf or it is not a good weather for playing golf. So how many classes are there again? There are 2 classes, right? And these are called as your input attributes or predictors, and this is called as your output attribute or your class variable, your target variable. So there are different names. Okay. And there is also another type of problem which is very similar to a classification problem, which is called as a regression problem. Okay. And why it is but how it is different from a classification problem? So in a regression problem, the target variable that you are going to predict about, okay, so this is not a categorical variable, right? So this is not a string that I am trying to predict whether it is a dark or not dark, whether I should play golf or not. Rather, what I am trying to predict is I am trying to predict a continuous variable. That can be wind speed, that can be blood pressure, that can be, that can be maybe number of COVID patients, right? So all these are regression type of problems. Okay. So this is the difference between classification and regression. And you might have noticed that there is something called as supervised learning, which was specified over here. So why it is called as supervised learning? So basically, it is, so all these are actually motivated from human learning. So in human learning, what happens? In human learning, actually, there is a there is someone, an adult, maybe his mother. Okay, so there is a kid, maybe let's say 2-3 years old, or maybe even younger than that. So he doesn't know that which is a dog, which is a cat, right? So what the mother does, it will say, oh, see, that's a dog, right? Oh, see, that's a cat. And then what happens? Then after looking at few dogs and cats, the child can now take pleasure from identifying an animal which was not introduced by her mother, by his or her mother, but he can correctly classify this is a cat and dog. Are you getting me? So instead of now having a mother, okay, we are just having the mother's decision along with the example. So earlier mother was telling that, this is a cat, this is a dog. So rather than that, we have already, in some field told that this is a cat, this is a dog. And there the mother was supervising. And here you have already the field information, the class information available, which is actually supervising your learning, right? So that is why it is called as a supervised learning. Is this part clear to you? Do you have any question? Hello? Okay, very good. So let's go back further. So now let's look at some of the examples. So one of the example is whether to, in banking sector, whether to provide a loan to a customer or not, right? So you have data about different customers, right? And you know that which customers are actually good for loan. What is the meaning of good for loan? The meaning of good for loan is that they will pay back in time. Okay, so you are looking at past history of the customers, right? What is their educational background, what is the job they are doing, what is their family size, if they have any other loans and not. So these are their previous information, and you also know that whether they defaulted in a loan or not, whether they paid back timely or not, right? So now you are using that to build a program of your own, which actually when a new customer comes, you apply this program and it can tell you that what is the chance of this person's giving the loan back in time, or he will not give in time. Okay, so similarly, in medical domain, you can look at that which patient may need emergency medication. Okay, emergency medication means actually it has been seen that that people actually delay their treatment unless it becomes emergency, right? And when it becomes emergency, it is a very, very costly affair, right? See, he will probably what could have been done by some, lifestyle change, by taking some moderate foods, doing some exercises, that may, if they have not done that, probably, you now need to do a very costly test like angiogram. Okay, so the objective is, because it is an emergency, you cannot avoid this now, right? So you, before actually this emergency happens, you are trying to understand, or you are trying to predict which patients maybe in next 1 week will have an emergency situation. Social media. So right now, especially, this is you must have realized that lot of news that are floating around, like about COVID, not about COVID, are actually fake. Okay, lot of things are getting viral, right? So which are not actually accurate information or correct information, right? uh, so this is also, you try to find out. So you have lot of data from earlier which are fake, right, which are not right. Okay, and then you have built your model which, looking at a news, can tell its probability of being a fake news. Entertainment. So predicting the box office return of a movie. Okay, so the producer wants to know before the movie hits the theater that what is the expected box office return. The earlier three examples were classification. This is not a classification example, this is a regression example, because we want to exactly know that, what is the return that it is going to be there from the movie. Telecom, which customer is going to churn. Churn means to move away, actually. So basically, some people are using Airtel or Vodafone. Okay, and what is the probability that they will move to Jio? And then, Airtel and Vodafone uh, can actually take some strategy to retain those customers, right? So this is also a classification problem. Insurance, identify claims which are fraud. Okay, so this is also one of the things that happens, right? That there is uh, actually a person has hit the car by his own mistake, but then he is trying to claim that it is an accident. Okay, some other vehicle has rammed the car and then has flown away, right? So these are fraud claims. Sports. So what is a good auction price for a player? So probably very, very important for all these IPL franchise, right? uh, how will you do that? So you can find out one of the like people's price and their sports statistics, right? How many matches they played, how many runs they scored, what was their strike rate, and I mean how many wickets they have taken, economy rate, all these things, right? And then they can determine a good auction price from previous all editions of IPL. And based on that, for the current IPL, so now maybe not for this one, because it is going to start in some days, but for other like next future editions, this can be applied. Security, identifying a network packet as an attack or not. So this is also very, very important, right? So there are a lot of traffic that are coming. So this is also a regression problem. You see, this is a regression problem. Okay, this is a regression problem. Rest of them are classification problem. Okay, now we will look at what is called as clustering. So clustering is actually finding natural group in the data. Okay, so natural group, like here, one of the thing that you notice is different from the classification is that you don't have these two states, right? Earlier what was happening, that there was a step where we were producing a program, then that program was used on objects which were unknown, right? Which class they belong to, we don't know, and then they were classifying, right? So it is not there. And also, if you notice that you don't have the label information here, right? So that's why clustering is also called as unsupervised, right? Because there is no mother now telling, this is a duck, this is not a duck. And the concept of natural group uh, may not be very clearly defined. Huh? It can have ambiguity, because uh, here if you see that you can classify them as birds and animals, right? Or you can also classify them birds and hares and porcupines, right? So there can be different type of groups. Okay, so this is your unsupervised learning. So now what we are going to look at is called as, classification error. Okay, or how to evaluate a classifier. So is it clear now so far? Debabo?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now here, you may get little confused, but nevertheless, let's go through it very slowly. So let's say, you have some data already available. Okay. And when you have the data, you have the input data, right? Which are your predictors and your class variable also. So maybe let's take it as a dark and not dark problem only. So this is your label field, right? So, I have a value dark here, and maybe I have another row, right, which is not dark. Okay, let me write as N. Okay, the next row is again D. The next row is again D, like this. Are you getting me? So this is already there. Now, when the program is produced, then if I give these input values, right, not the class value, but the input values, the attributes about the dark, then it will also have a predicted value, right? So this level is called as actual level. Okay, and I can also have a predicted level, and this predicted level can be, so for this one maybe it is dark, right? For the next one it is not dark, the next one again maybe it is dark, something like this. Okay, uh, so now what do you want when you will say that your program is good? Can you tell me? Orko, can you tell me that when I will say my program is doing good, আমি কখন বলবো যে প্রোগ্রামটা ঠিকঠাক কাজ করছে?
স্যার এই জায়গাটা একটু বুঝলাম না, মানে এই আপনার যে ছবিটা আপনি যে এঁকেছেন এই জায়গার লেখাটা বুঝতে পারছি না বলে ব্যাপারটা ঠিক বুঝলাম না। আরেকবার একটু বলুন।
হ্যাঁ, আচ্ছা, আমি বলছি যে দেখ, মানে we already have some data available, right? So let's say I have 10 birds. Okay, so if I have 10 birds, then I will, how many rows I will have? For each bird I will have one row. Is this clear? So so there will be 10 rows, and there will be some input attributes. The input attribute may be image, input attribute can be their colors, their ability to swim or not, or something like that, right? Like attributes which describe them. And you have corresponding class variable. Okay, because you have seen that we have the labels available, so that's why you call it as a supervised learning. Now maybe for the first row, the first bird was a duck, the second bird was not a duck, the third bird was a duck, something of that sort. And then I'm not going and repeat for all the 10 rows, right? So this is actually what it is. So this I am calling it as an actual level. Okay. Now, please understand that when I have developed the program on the basis of this, the program also can look at these attributes, and can predict that whether it is a dark or not. So this I am calling it as a predicted level. Okay, and maybe this is dark, this predicts this as dark, predict this as not dark, predict this as not dark. So now what my question is that when I will call a program good program based on these actual levels and predicted levels.
অ্যাকচুয়াল লেভেল আর প্রেডিক্টেড লেভেলটা যদি সেম হয় তাহলে হবে প্রোগ্রাম।
Excellent, very good. Very good. So this is what I actually wanted to hear. Okay. So this is what if you look at this equation, what we are doing is, so yi is actual level and yi dashed is predicted level. So what we are counting, we are counting the cases where they are not equal to. Okay. And then what is n? N is here as the example that we took, how many birds are there? So 10. Okay. So basically, you know, this will give a result like this, that out of 10 rows, if in one row, you know, this has not matched, then you will say that the classification error is 1 by 10 or 1 by 10 or 0.1. Is it clear to you? Now what we are again going to do is, there is something called as confusion matrix. Okay. So this is a very important concept. Okay. Very simple concept, but initially, you know, it may sound little difficult to you. So please ask me, you know, if you don't get it. Okay. So there can be 4 cases. Okay. So basically, if you have 2 classes, one of the class you consider as a positive class. So mainly from this comes from your medical terminology. So we are saying, right, when a person is having COVID, we are telling it that he has tested COVID positive. We are saying that, right? So from that aspect, from medical terminology, we are having this concept of positive. Okay. May not be a very positive thing, of course, not a very positive thing. But this is what, you know, it is used in medical terminology. Now understand that there can be 4 cases. What are the 4 cases? The 4 cases is that a person actually has COVID and your algorithm also predicted that that person has COVID. Okay. So what you call them? You call them as true positive. Okay. So pay very close attention. So look at this portion of the table. So actually it was a positive. You also predicted as positive. Those cases you call as true positive, and actually you are counting them. Okay, that how many cases it was positive and you predicted as positive. Are you getting me? And then you have next is false negative, right? So what is false negative? So actually, you know, that person has COVID, but your test or your model has told that that person doesn't have COVID. So your test has called this to be negative, right? But it is actually false. So the second part is about prediction, and the first part is actually comparison with the actual. Similarly, if you come here, you know, here what is happening is that actually it is that person doesn't have COVID, but you have predicted him to have COVID. So again, what I said, the second part comes from the prediction. Okay. The second part comes from the prediction. So you will call this as positive, but it is a false positive. You have predicted him as having COVID, but he doesn't have COVID. And what about this one? This is true negative. So that person doesn't have COVID, and your test also correctly identified this as not having COVID. Okay. And what do you want? You want a system where these two values are higher, right? True positive and true negative are higher. So, you know, if you define a ratio, which is called as classification accuracy, which is a ratio of true positive plus true negative by all the observations, right? By all the observations. So that is called as classification accuracy. Okay. Now, please tell me that if this true positive, false negative, false positive, and true negative is clear to you.
Yes, sir.
Very good. Excellent. So now there is something more to discuss. Okay. So basically, when I'm making an incorrect decision, I am making an incorrect decision in the cases of false negative and false positive, right? I am making an incorrect decision in case of false negative and false positive. And this, when I am making an incorrect decision, there is a cost associated with it, right? So there is something, so there is a cost associated with it, because there is some kind of harassment of the people or some kind of delay of treatment, right? So this is the cost. And it turns out that your false positive and false negative, right? uh, your false positive and false negative may not have equal cost. So here, when you are doing this calculation, you are thinking that all of this, true positive, true negative, false positive, false negative, all have equal costs, right? But let's take two examples. One example is that you have written written a program which identifies an email as a spam email or a normal email. Okay, let me repeat. You have written a program which identifies an email as a spam email or a normal email. Okay, so spam is a positive class and non-spam is a negatives class. Okay, now let's understand that what is a false positive. So false positive is that you have an email which was a normal email or maybe an important email, and you have identified it as a spam, right? False positive. Okay, so what is the implication? So maybe there was an email from the university asking to do something and it has gone to a spam folder, right? So it has a huge implication. What about false negative? So that email was actually a spam email, right? But you considered it as a normal email. So you will be irritated, right? You will think that why my spam program is not working right, but it doesn't have so much of implication. Okay. So here what do we see? That there is a lot of cost associated with false positive. This is the case I will try to avoid more, right? Now let's look at the case where it is false negative, right? Or let's look at a case where your false negative has more weightage. So let's say you have installed a surveillance camera in the airport and you want to identify persons as suspicious persons or not. So identifying suspicious person is the positive class. Now let's look at what is false positive. False positive is that the person actually was not suspicious, but you identified him as suspicious. So what will happen? That he will do some extra screening for that person, some extra security checks he will do, right? And what is the cost? The cost is that passenger will be little bit irritated, of course. But we know routinely our film star, Shah Rukh Khan, right? So they, when go to other countries, they are subjected to additional security checking, additional screening, right? So it happens all the time. But what about false negative? False negative means actually that person is suspicious, but your algorithm failed to identify it. Okay, so he will sneak in the airport and can do many things, right? The extreme can be that he has a bomb and he blows up, or he has some certain things which are not detected by your regular checking, and he actually blows away the airport, right? So did you understand that these two cases, how in spam false positive has more weightage or more cost associated, and how in the suspicious activity detection false negative has more cost associated? Did you realize that? Okay. So to counter this, we are not using accuracy anymore. We are using some other measures, okay, which are called as precision, recall, F1 score, accuracy, specificity, like this. Okay. So what is precision? Precision is true positive by true positive plus false positive. So here your focus is on finding out how correct you are on your positive case prediction. So this is also called as precision. Okay, how precise you are. What is recall? Recall is actually finding out that out of the actual positive cases, how many of you actually correctly identified. So if you go back, what was this false negative? Or rather, what is this true positive plus false negative? True positive plus false negative is nothing but actually in the number of classes where it is positive, right? So out of, there can be two things. One is you are very happy that your model has predicted 10 patients having COVID and all the 10 has COVID. So you may be very happy and they say, I have a precision of 100%. But actually in your population, you had 30 patients who had COVID, but you could not identify those 20 patients, right? So that is taken care in recall. So here what you will have is, you will have it as 10 by 30, okay, or your recall will be 33%. And it is seen by studies that, so actually what do you want? You want a high precision system with high recall, right? But the thing is that how you can have, so it is found from studies that it is not always practical to get a system which is high precision and high recall at the same time. So it often happens when the precision goes up, the recall goes down, or vice versa. So instead of that, you try to come up with a score which actually combines both of them. So rather than trying to maximize precision or maximize recall, you try to maximize F1. Okay, or you try to measure your classifier's performance by F1 score, which is a function of precision and recall. Accuracy you have already seen, and specificity is also another term which actually tells that, you know, when you are telling something to be negative, right, how accurate you are. So what is this Tn plus Fp? Let's go back and see. What is this Tn plus Fp? So Tn plus Fp is actually the number of negative classes that are there, right? So this tells actually how many cases. So you can say that recall is actually for the positive class, and specificity is actually about the negative class. Okay. So now here is a calculation. So follow this very carefully. Okay. Now, so where, you know, it will be more clear to you that, let's say, you know, this is what your confusion matrix is. So this is called as your confusion matrix. Okay. So first you have checked that, you know, it is actually negative, predicted as negative. So this is true negative. This is negative and predicted as positive. So this is false positive. As I said, that the prediction is the second part, right? So that's why, you know, it is positive. So for both the predicted columns, you know, the second part is negative. So here predicted is negative. So the second part is negative. And here predicted is positive. The second part is positive, if you see, right? And the first part actually tells whether your prediction was correct or not. So what percentage of your predictions were correct? So this is nothing but your classification accuracy. So how many total observations are there? If you add up, so 9760 plus 140 plus 40 plus 60, we'll see that it comes to 10,000. And how many cases were correct? 9,820 times. So your accuracy is 98.2. What percentage of positive cases did you catch? So how many positives were there? So these are your actual positive cases, 40 plus 60, 100, right? How many you caught? You caught 60. So this is what? This is your recall. So the recall is actually 60%. What percent of your positive predictions were correct? So how many you predicted as positive? 200. Out of that, how many were actually positive? 60. So so this is also called as precision. So precision is, you know, 60 by 200, which is 30%. So this actually tells you that even if your classification accuracy gives you a very rosy picture that it is 98.2%, but when you actually drill down and find out precision and recall, the numbers are much more less. Okay. Now, so this was about classification. How do you do it for regression? So regression, you do it by something called as mean square error. So there are other measures also, but this is what is more used or more easy to understand. So let's say, you are trying to, you have formed a regression problem such that you take a person's year of education and you try to find out that what should be his income in maybe number of lakhs or number of thousands, okay, monthly or yearly, something like that. So and maybe, you can roughly think that based on years of education, the income can of course show a upward trend. Okay, so this may not be, what I would say, may not be mm, directly happening, right, or may not be true for all cases, but it can happen nevertheless, right? Now basically what we are doing over here is we are finding out the actual value like we are doing in classification, and in regression we are also finding out the expected value. So xi is going as the input, and this f bar xi actually tells you that based on the values of xi, what will be the predicted value of yi. And now what we are going to do is, so this blue line is actually your model or what you have come up with, and these red circles are your actual points. And for each of the points, actually this projection that you see, this perpendicular line, actually gives you the error. Are you getting me? So for each of the observations, I am getting the error, and here you are getting a positive error, here you are getting a negative error. So this can cancel out. So what we are going to do is we are going to take the square of the error so that don't cancel out. And then for I am going through all the observation and summing it up, right? So this is your error, right? This is your error, you are squaring it, so that's why you are calling it a squared error. And then you take the sum and then divide by number of observations. So when you divide by number of observations, you are calculating the average error or the mean error. So that's why it is called as mean squared error. Is it clear to you? Okay, so in case of regression, you calculate by mean square error, and of course like classification, you may want a zero classification error. Here also you may want a zero mean squared error. Okay, now there is a very interesting concept called as overfitting. So it turns out that like some of us have a tendency of memorizing without understanding the concept. This data mining models also has this concept or also has this tendency that they will memorize without actually trying to understand how it happens. As an example, that let's say that I will give you a program of factorial. Okay, I'll give you a program of factorial using microprocessor, and you know that I am just going to check the result. I'm not going to check the logic. So instead of actually writing the loop through either or loop or maybe recursive way, writing the factorial program, what you have done is you have actually memorized that factorial of 1 is 1, factorial of 2 is 2, factorial of 3 is 6, factorial of 4 is 24, 5 is 120, 6 is 720, like that. You have memorized this. And then what happens is that you have actually created maybe an array, okay, a two-dimensional array, which has in one of the so it has two rows. In one row you have the input numbers, and in one of the rows you have the output corresponding factorial. And when you are asking for an integer from this table, you are telling the factorial value, but you actually, if I give you a number which is much higher or which you have not seen, right, so then you cannot calculate the factorization, right? So this happens, and this is called as overfitting when you are trying to memorize. Okay, so for that, what you do, you actually divide your you divide your questions into, or your examples in two sets. One is called as training set, another is called as testing set. So the idea is that when I am let's say explaining some of the classification problem, the confusion matrix problem that I have shown here, maybe you have not understood it, but you have memorized, right? So if I give you the same problem, maybe you will be able to answer. But if I change the problem little bit, I am asking you to calculate the same thing, but I have changed the problem. Maybe I have given the word description and I have not drawn the table. Then what we'll have to do? You will actually have to use your concepts, what you have understood, right? Actually, you have to use your concept and then uh, and then uh, calculate the corresponding accuracy, precision, or recall, or like that. Are you getting me? Okay. So for that, what you do is actually entire set of observations that you have, right? You don't give that model to learn from all of them. So you keep something for you, which is called as withhold, or also called as holdout set, or also called as testing set, right? And that you keep with yourself. So the model learns from the training set, and then you give the testing set to him and see how it is performing on the testing set. So you are not interested to look at, so even if he is 100% correct on the training set, you are not happy, or that is not what you want to want want the result. You want that on testing set, it should be able to demonstrate its understanding correctly. Are you getting me? Okay. So this tendency, as I said, of memorizing is called as overfitting. And when you have a separate training set and testing set and you use it for evaluation, then you can be assured that the overfitting tendency will be less. So you can look at this particular example. Okay, you can look at this particular example. So let's say this is a binary classification problem, and a class, you can think of that the classifier's objective. Okay, so whatever classifier you are trying to build, whatever program you are trying to build, is just to draw a simple line. So what is the objective? You have two classes. So maybe, there are two variables, okay, x1 and x2. Okay. So let me call this as a variable x1 and this as variable x2. So what here is your objective? The objective is that now I will just simply draw a line such that in one side I have the red class and another side I have the blue class. Okay. So again, let me repeat, the objective of the classification program is just to draw a line so that on one side of the classifier, you have one class or the red class, and another side you have the blue class. And now in this particular example, actually there are two classifiers which are at work. One is denoted by this black and another is denoted by this green. Do you see that? And actually, if you look at this, you may conclude that the green classifier is better. Because why green classifier is better? Because it completely separates the two classes. Okay, and the black class doesn't do a good job. And now how these classifiers could be used for testing set or unknown label. So if you have an observation like this, which I denote by a question mark, so you know that this is on the right side of this. If I'm using the green classifier, even the black classifier, that is on the right side of the classifier, so it's a blue class, right? So that is how the classifier will take the decisions or make the predictions. But the problem with this green set, the problem with this green is that it follows it very blindly. You see that, and if I have some blue line now over here, okay, or maybe some red line over here, where should I keep it? Maybe over here, right? So what we will do, it will again change its path and go like this. So when it actually tries, so very simply what you can think is that when you have more carbs, right, then actually you are trying to memorize more. তত মুখস্থ করার টেন্ডেন্সিটা বেশি, যত বেশি ও নচ নেবে, যত বেশি, the more it creates the carbs. Okay, are you getting me? So basically you don't want a classifier like the green one, because if you change the data a little bit, which can happen, right? So even if I am trying to uh, trying to create a classifier, maybe again for COVID, you know that newer symptoms are coming, right? You have the asymptotic case, the mutated cases, and so many things are there, right? So if it is very, very particularly tied to the to the set that you have got, then it will not work. Then it will not work when the data has little bit of change, okay, or data is of little bit of different nature, right? So that's why you don't want it need it to memorize or to overfit. And when you have avoided this overfitting, then you call that your model is more generalized. Okay. All right. uh, Now let's okay, so now what we have to cover is a classifier called as k nearest neighbors. So I think let us do it in the next class, because it will take again another at least 40-45 minutes. Okay. So let's quickly revise whatever we have discussed. Okay. And uh, stop here. Okay, first of all, do you have any questions? So let me take your questions if you have anything.